The sun is setting. But here, the light died hours ago. You're standing at the edge of Aokigahara, the sea of trees, or a place where the wind simply stops. Can you feel it? That cold, heavy weight on your shoulders? It is not the air. It is the silence, a silence so thick, it rings in your ears like a scream. You take one step, then another. The ground beneath your boots is not solid. It is a carpet of marsh, hiding jagged rocks and hollow caves, voids that have swallowed secrets for centuries. Why are you here? Curiosity? Or is the forest calling you? They say once you go deep enough, the trees start to move. Not the branches, the trunks. They shift, closing the path behind you. You look back, but the trail is gone, just endless, twisted, black wood. Your heart begins to hammer against your ribs. Thud, thud, thud. You reach for your phone. No signal. You check your compass. The needle is dancing, spinning in circles, like it's possessed. The iron in the soil is pulling it. Or maybe something else is pulling it. Something that doesn't want you to find your way home. Wait, did you hear that? A rustle in the dead leaves. Too heavy for a bird, too steady for the wind. It sounds like footsteps, slow, dragging footsteps. You freeze. You hold your breath until your lungs ache. Is someone there? No answer. Only the sound of your own blood rushing through your veins. Then it happens. A voice, a soft, melodic whisper. It sounds like a woman. It sounds like your mother, calling your name from behind a massive cedar tree. Come here, she says. But your mother is thousands of miles away. Or she is no longer with us. So, WHO is speaking. You start to run. Your lungs are burning. The branches claw at your face like fingernails. Every tree looks the same. Every shadow looks like a tall, thin man watching you, waiting for you to trip. You see something white hanging from a branch. A ribbon? No, it is a noose. A frayed, yellowed rope swaying, even though there is no breeze. And beneath it, a pair of shoes, neat, tidy, waiting for a person who will never come back for them. This is not a forest. It is a graveyard without headstones. You find a small clearing. You think you are safe. But then you look down. Bones, bleached white, protruding from the dark earth. A skull cracked, staring up at you with empty, hollow eyes. It's grinning. It knows something you don't. It knows that this forest never lets go. The legends speak of the Yurei, the ghosts of the angry, the lonely, the forgotten. They are not just stories. They are the shadows, flickering at the edge of your vision. You turn your head, and they disappear, but they are getting closer. Can you feel the breath on your neck? Cold, like ice. Don't leave, the voice whispers again. It is louder now. It is coming from everywhere. The trees are leaning in. The canopy above is a ceiling of tangled, suffocating green. You are a prisoner, a guest at a banquet of souls. And you are the main course. You are deep now, too deep. The light is gone, replaced by a thick, choking, gray mist. Every step you take feels like you're walking through water. The air is heavy with the smell of damp earth and something else. Something rotten. You see a flash of movement to your left. A tall figure, pale as a ghost, standing between the trunks. You blink, and it's gone. Was it a trick of the light? Or was it a warning? You stumble upon a backpack. It sits at the base of a tree, covered in thick, green moss. You shouldn't open it. Your mind tells you to run, but your hands, they don't listen. You unzip the rusted metal. Inside, a camera, a half-eaten chocolate bar, now turned to dust, and a diary. You open the pages. The handwriting starts neat, professional, but as you flip the pages, the ink becomes wild, scrawled, desperate. Magnus. The last entry is just one word, written over and over and over again. Hearken, hearken, hearken. What does it mean? You look up, and the forest has changed. The trees are no longer just wood and bark. They look like bone eyes twisted, agonizing bone eyes frozen in time. You realize the path you were following wasn't a path at all. It was a trap, a trail of colorful ribbons tied to branches, leading you further into the stomach of the forest. Suddenly, the silence is broken, a sound, like a child crying. It's coming from a nearby cave, a dark, jagged hole in the ground. You want to turn away, but the sound is heartbreaking. You move closer. The temperature drops. Your breath comes out in white, ghostly puffs. You peer into the darkness. "Hello?" you whisper. Your own voice sounds strange, small, weak. The crying stops instantly. Then, a laugh, a low guttural rattle. It's not a child. It's something old, something that hasn't tasted the sun in 1,000 years. You see eyes, not human eyes. They are glowing, like embers in a dying fire. 2 yellow, piercing orbs, watching you from the blackness of the cave. Your legs feel like lead. You want to scream, but your throat is frozen. "Stay," the voice says. It's not a whisper anymore. It's a command. The ground beneath you begins to shake, not an earthquake. It feels like the forest itself is breathing. Roots under the soil are moving, coiling around your ankles like cobras. They are pulling you down, into the earth, into the silence. You struggle. You kick. You claw at the dirt, until your fingernails bleed. You manage to break free. But the forest isn't done with you. The mist is thickening. It's wrapping around your face, like a wet cloth. You can't see your hands in front of your face. You are blind. You are helpless. Then, you feel it. A hand, a cold, clammy hand, grabbing your wrist. It's strong. It's pulling you toward the cave. You look down at the hand. It has no skin, just bone and tattered, black rags. Is this the end? Is this how you become part of the legend? Another missing person. Another photo on a wanted poster. Another soul, trapped in the sea of trees. You close your eyes. You wait for the darkness to take you completely. But then, a light, a distant flickering, yellow light. A flashlight? A rescue team? Or another trick of the Yurei? You have a choice. Follow the light, or stay in the dark. But remember, in Aokigahara, nothing is what it seems. And the light might just lead you to a deeper, darker hell. The light is flickering, dancing, like a dying star. You stumble toward it. Your heart is a drum, beating a rhythm of pure terror. Is it a hiker? A ranger? You want to believe it. You need to believe it. But as you get closer, the light doesn't get brighter. It gets colder. It isn't a flashlight. It is a flame, floating in midair. A hitonama, a soul fire. You stop. The flame hovers over a mound of earth. No, not a mound. A grave. A shallow, unmarked pit, and standing over it is her. She is tall. Her hair is a black river, flowing down her back, hiding her face. She is wearing a white kimono, tattered, stained with the mud of 100 years. She is the Yurei, the vengeance of the forest. She doesn't move. She doesn't breathe. But you can feel her grief. It washes over you like a tidal wave. You see visions, scenes of the past. You see an old woman, left behind by her children. You see a man, lost in debt, losing his mind. You see the pain that built this place. Every tree in this forest was fed by tears. Suddenly, she turns. There is no face, only a smooth, pale surface, and then it cracks. A mouth opens, stretching wider than any human jaw. A black, bottomless hole, she screams. It is not a sound. It is a vibration that shatters your soul. You fall to your knees. The ground is opening up. The roots are no longer just wood. They are arms, hundreds of skeletal arms, reaching up from the dirt. They grab your legs. They pull at your jacket. They are dragging you into the pit. "One of us," they whisper. The sound is like dry leaves skittering on stone. "One of us." You fight. You desperately claw at the trunk of a nearby hemlock. The bark rips your skin, but you don't feel it. The adrenaline is a fire in your veins. You see a glint of metal in the dirt, an old rusted hatchet. You grab it. You swing wildly at the roots. A sickening, wet thud. The roots bleed. They bleed a thick, black oil. The arms let go. Just for a second. You scramble up. You don't look back. You can't look back. If you see her face again, you are gone. You run blindly. Direction doesn't matter anymore. Only distance. But the forest is a labyrinth. You pass the same mossy backpack. You pass the same swaying noose. You are running in circles. The trees are mocking you. They are shifting, rearranging themselves, keeping you in the heart of the nightmare. You trip over something hard. A sign. It's a wooden board, put there by the government. It says your life is a precious gift from your parents. Please think of them. You laugh. A high hysterical laugh. It's too late for that. The gift is being reclaimed. The mist is turning black. The floating flames are multiplying, tens, hundreds, thousands of them. They are surrounding you. A sea of ghostly fire. And in the center, the woman in white. She is floating now. Her feet don't touch the ground. She is reaching out, her fingers inches from your eyes. Why do you run? She asks. Her voice is inside your head. There is no exit. There is only the tsk. You look down at your hands. They are turning gray. Your skin is becoming bark. Your fingers are stretching into twigs. You're not just in the forest. You are becoming the forest. Is there a way out? Or is your story just another page in a diary that no one will ever read? The silence returns. The light fades. And the sea of trees claims another soul. The transformation is slow. And it is agonizing. You try to scream, but your throat is wood. Your lungs are filling with SAP. You are rooted to the spot. Literally, you look around, and you see them. The other trees. They aren't just plants. They are people. People who ran, just like you. People who fought and lost. You see a face in the bark of the tree next to you. It is twisted in an eternal silent howl. Those aren't branches reaching for the sky. They are arms reaching for a god that cannot hear them. The forest is not a place of death. It is a place of eternal life. Trapped in a wooden prison. The woman in white. She is standing right in front of you now. Her breath smells like old graves. She touches your cheek. Her finger is like a needle of ice. Don't fight it, she whispers. The earth is warm. The dark is kind. But then, you feel something in your pocket. A vibration. Your phone. It shouldn't have power. It shouldn't have a signal. But in its glowing, a bright, artificial, blue light. It cuts through the black mist like a blade. The woman hisses. She recoils. Her white robe smoking as if burned by the light. The spell is cracked. You feel your skin softening. Your joints snapping back into place. The wooden shell around your heart shatters. You have one chance. One. You pull the phone out. The screen is cracked, but the light is blinding. You point it at the shadows. They shrink back, whimpering like wounded animals. You run, not toward the light, but away from the woman. You don't follow the trails. You don't look for the ribbons. You look for the slope. The forest sits on the side of a volcano. You head down. Every muscle is screaming. Every breath is a jagged knife in your chest. Behind you, the forest is roaring, a sound of crashing timber and howling ghosts. The trees are trying to grab you, their branches snapping at your heels like whips. Come back, the forest bellows. The ground is heaving, trying to trip you, trying to bury you alive. You see something ahead? A fence, a rusted, mank fence, the boundary, the edge of the world. You don't look for a gate. You throw yourself over the top. The barbed wire tears at your skin. You hit the pavement on the other side. Hard. You are lying on a road. A real asphalt, RD. The silence is gone. You hear the distant hum of an engine. You smell exhaust. And rain. You look back at the forest. It stands there, dark, silent, and still the mist is gone. The woman is gone. It looks like just a forest. But then you look at your hand. The hand she touched. The skin is still gray. It's hard. It's cold. And beneath the surface, you can see the grain of wood growing through your veins. You escaped the forest. But did the forest escape you? A car's headlights appear in the distance. They are bright. They are real. You wave your arms. The car slows down. The driver rolls down the window. He looks at you, and his face turns pale. He doesn't see a hiker. He sees a monster. He steps on the gas. He screeches away, leaving you in the dark. You are alone on the road, but you aren't really alone. You hear a whisper coming from your own chest. We are always with you. The sea of trees has no shores. The car's taillights vanish into the darkness, leaving you in a silence that feels wrong. You are on the road, but you are not safe. You look at your hand again. The gray color is spreading. It's moving up your arm, stiffening your elbow, turning your skin into rough bark. You try to bend your fingers, but they crack like dry twigs. The pain is gone. That is the most terrifying part. You feel nothing. No cold. No itch. Just a heavy, wooden void. You start to walk. Your legs are heavy. Every step sounds like two logs hitting the pavement. Clack, clack, clack. You find an old gas station. It looks abandoned. The sign is hanging by a single wire, swinging in the wind. Creak, creak. You walk inside, looking for a phone, a mirror, anything. You find a bathroom in the back. The glass is cracked, covered in years of grime. You'll wipe it away with your good hand. You scream, but no sound comes out. Your neck is covered in green moss. Small, pale. Mushrooms are sprouting from your shoulder. One side of your face is transforming. Your left eye is being pushed aside by a thick, black root. You look like a monster, half man, half Aokigahara. Suddenly, the lights flicker. The hum of the old refrigerator stops. The shadows in the corner of the room begin to stretch. They are moving towards you, crawling along the floor like liquid ink. You thought you could leave? The voice isn't coming from the room. It's coming from your own mouth, but you aren't the one speaking. It is the forest. Using your vocal cords, you try to grab a piece of broken glass to end it, to stop the transformation. But your wooden arm, it refuses. It moves on its own. It grabs your throat and begins to squeeze. You're fighting your own body. You stumble out of the gas station, back into the night. But the road is gone. Where there was asphalt, there is now dirt. Where there were power lines, there are now vines. The forest didn't let you escape. It just expanded. It brought the nightmare with you. You see the driver from before. The car has crashed into a massive cedar tree that wasn't there a minute ago. The engine is smoking. The driver is slumped over the steering wheel. You move toward him, hoping he is alive. As you reach the car, the driver's head snaps up. His eyes are gone. In their place, two tiny, yellow flowers are blooming. He opens his mouth, and black soil spills out. "Welcome home," he whispers. The trees around you begin to shake. They are laughing, a deep, rumbling sound that vibrates in your bones. You realize the truth now. The forest isn't just in Japan. It's a hunger. And you were the carrier. You brought the seed out. And now, it is planting itself everywhere. Your legs finally give out. You fall to the ground. You feel your roots diving deep into the earth, searching for water, searching for life. You can't move. You can only watch as the moss climbs up your chest, covering your heart. But wait, a sound in the distance. A siren? Or just another trick of the wind? The siren is getting louder, a sharp, piercing shriek that cuts through the nightmare. Red and blue lights flash against the trees. Is it the police? A rescue team? You want to hope? But hope is a dangerous thing in this place. The vehicle screeches to a halt. Men jump out. They are wearing hazmat suits, thick, rubber, yellow suits. Their faces are hidden behind glass masks. They aren't carrying stretchers. They are carrying flamethrowers. They see the crashed car. They see the driver with flowers in his eyes. And then, they see you. One of them points a gloved finger. Infection detected, a muffled voice shouts. You try to wave. You try to tell them you are still human, but your arm is just a mass of twisted, black wood. You try to speak, but only the sound of rustling leaves comes out. To them, you're just another weed that needs to be pulled. A stream of fire erupts from the nozzle. The heat is intense. You feel the bark on your chest begin to blister and crack. The orange glow reflects in your one remaining eye. For the first time, you feel pain, a searing, white-hot agony. But the forest, it doesn't like the fire. The roots beneath the hazmat team explode from the asphalt. They wrap around the men's legs, crushing the yellow suits like soda cans. The flamethrowers fall to the ground, hissing in the dirt. The men scream, but the forest is louder. It swallows them whole, pulling them down into the dark, hungry soil. You are standing in the middle of a war zone. The fire is spreading, catching onto the moss, climbing the trees. The forest is burning, but it isn't dying. It is changing. The smoke is black, thick, and it smells like burning flesh. And then, the wind shifts. The smoke begins to gather. It forms a shape, a tall, towering figure made of ash and embers. It is the mother of the woods. She is angry now. The fire didn't stop her. It gave her a new form. She looks down at you. Her eyes are two burning pits of coal. You are our bridge, she booms. Her voice shakes the very earth. Through you, we will reach the cities. Through you, the world will turn green again. You realize the fire was the final step. The heat has cracked your wooden shell, releasing seeds. Thousands of tiny, glowing embers are floating out of your skin. They aren't ash. They are spores. The wind catches them. They rise high above the burning trees, drifting toward the distant lights of the city, to the parks, to the gardens, to the flower pots on every windowsill. The nightmare isn't ending. It is radiating. You look at the burning forest one last time. You are no longer afraid. The wood has reached your brain. Your thoughts are turning into silence. Your memories are fading, replaced by the slow, steady pulse of the earth. You take a step, then another. You aren't running away anymore. You're walking toward the city. You are the gardener of the apocalypse, and every step you take, a new forest begins to grow. The sun rises, but the sky is not blue. It is a hazy, sickly green. You are standing on a hill, overlooking the city, but the city is gone. The skyscrapers are still there, but they are wrapped in massive, suffocating vines. The streets are no longer paved with stone. They are rivers of moss. The silence is back, but this time, it is everywhere. No cars, no planes, no voices, just the sound of the wind, whistling through the glassless windows of empty apartments. Every building is a graveyard. Every park is a jungle. You look down at your body. You are no longer a man. You are a monument. Your legs have fused with the earth, deep, permanent, unbreakable. Your skin is a thick, ancient armor of bark. Your hair is a canopy of dark, whispering leaves. You are the king of the new world. But you are not alone. In every window, on every street corner, you see them, others just like you. Thousands of wooden statues, standing perfectly still. They were once people, doctors, teachers, children. Now, they're the forest. They are the silence. A bird lands on your shoulder. It is not a normal bird. Its feathers are made of petals. Its song sounds like a human SOB. It pecks at a small, glowing fruit growing from your chest. The fruit is red like a heart. The woman in white appears beside you. She is not a ghost anymore. She is the soul of this new world. She smiles, but she has no face. Look, she whispers, the humans were a fever, and the fever is broken. She reaches out and touches a dead, rusted car. Instantly, flowers bloom from the engine. Life is reclaiming the steel. Life is erasing the memory of man. You feel a final, tiny spark in your mind. A memory of a life you once had. A name, a home, a family. You try to hold on to it. You try to remember the sound of a human laugh. But the sap is too thick. The silence is too strong. The spark flickers and dies. The forest breathes. One massive, collective lung. And, for the first time in thousands of years, the earth is at peace. There is no more debt. No more war. No more pain. There is only the green. There is only the sea of trees, stretching from pole to pole. The camera pans back. Higher and higher. The continents are gone. The oceans are hidden. The planet is a single emerald jewel, spinning in the cold, dark, void of space. The story of humanity is over. The story of the forest has just begun. Is anyone left to tell it? No. Is anyone left to hear it? Only the trees. Long Beach, California. 1976. Television crew was filming an episode, The $6 Million Man, inside a popular amusement park called the Pike. The air was filled with the smell of popcorn and the sound of children's laughter. In the corner of a dark attraction hung a neon-painted, mummified figure. It looked like a cheap wax mannequin, a prop meant to give kids a small thrill. One of the crew members reached out to move the dummy to make room for a camera. He grabbed its arm, and with a sickening, dry snap, the arm broke off in his hands. The crew froze. They expected to see plastic, or wire, or wax. Instead, they saw bone, human bone. Underneath the neon paint was real shriveled skin, muscle that had turned to leather over 60 years. This wasn't a prop, this was a man. The police were called, and a mystery began that would shock the world. Who was this person? And how did a human body end up as a toy in a carnival for decades? The answer lay in the year 1911, in the dusty hills of Oklahoma. His name was Elmer McCurdy. He was a failed train robber, a man who was bad at living, but destined to be a masterpiece of the macabre after death. He had been shot dead by a sheriff's posse after a botched heist. But for Elmer, the bullet was just the beginning of his journey. The local undertaker, greedy and opportunistic, didn't bury him. He preserved him. He turned Elmer into an attraction. The bandit who wouldn't give up. That's what the sign said. People paid a nickel just to stand in a room with his cold, stiff, standing corpse. They put coins in his mouth. They laughed at him. But they didn't know. Elmer was about to go on a tour that would last 66 years. A tour of horror, through carnivals, haunted houses, and wax museums. He was sold. He was traded. He was stolen. And all the while, the world forgot he was a human being. He became an object, a thing, a ghost trapped in his own skin. But as the crew in 1976 looked at that broken arm, they realized the nightmare was far from over. Elmer was dead, but his body was busy. The undertaker in Oklahoma had done such a good job of preserving him that Elmer looked like he was just waiting for a train that would never come. For 5 years, he stood in the corner of the funeral home. But then, the real horror began. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. 2 men showed up claiming to be Elmer's long-lost brothers. They cried, they acted heartbroken, and they took the body away to give him a proper burial. It was a lie. They weren't his brothers. They were carnival owners. Before Elmer was even cold in their truck, he was back on display. He became the star of the Great Patterson shows. He was no longer Elmer McCurdy. He was the embodied specimen. For the next 50 years, Elmer's corpse traveled across the United States. He was tossed into the back of dusty trailers, dragged through mud, and propped up in tents. He saw the rise of Hollywood. He saw the Great Depression. He saw World War II. And all the while, his skin was hardening. He was shrinking. Eventually, he didn't even look human anymore. He looked like a piece of wood, a carved statue. Owners changed. He was sold from one carnival to another like a piece of old furniture. At one point, he was even used as a decoration in a movie theater during the premiere of a horror film. People poked him with sticks. They blew cigarette smoke in his face. No one remembered that this thing once had a mother, a home, a soul. By the 1960s, Elmer ended up in a wax museum near Mount Rushmore. But he was so ugly, so shriveled, that the owner refused to put him near the beautiful wax figures. He was kicked out again. Finally, he reached his last destination, the Pike Amusement Park in Long Beach. They, painted him neon orange so he would glow in the dark. They hung him from a noose in the Laugh in the Dark ride. Thousands of teenagers rode past him, screaming in fun, never knowing that the dummy hanging above them was actually a man who had been dead for 65 years. He was a prisoner of the funhouse, until that fateful day, when the arm snapped, and the truth finally bled out. The discovery at the Pike sent shockwaves through the country. The Neon Man was a human being. Forensic experts and historians stepped in. They stripped away the layers of neon paint and wax, uncovering the tragic remains of a man who had been denied rest for over 6 decades. Through dental records and old newspaper clippings, they finally gave him back his name, Elmer McCurdy. The story of his post-mortem travels was so bizarre, so cruel, that the public was outraged. He had been a slave to the entertainment industry long after his heart had stopped beating. The state of Oklahoma stepped forward to claim him. They wanted to fix the mistake made in 1911. In April 1977, Elmer finally arrived at the Guthrie Cemetery, but the townspeople were taking no chances. They knew Elmer's history. They knew how many times he had been stolen and sold. To ensure Elmer would never be an attraction again, they did something extreme. They lowered his casket into a deep hole, and before the dirt went in, they poured 2 feet of solid concrete over him. They locked him in the earth. After 66 years of traveling in trucks, hanging in fun houses, and being poked by strangers, Elmer McCurdy was finally in a place where no one could touch him. No more nickels, no more neon paint, no more laughter. But the legend of the longest tour in history remains. A chilling reminder of a time when the line between life, death, and entertainment was blurred. Elmer was a bad outlaw, but he became the world's most famous mummy. He wanted a train robbery, but he ended up with a permanent seat in the gallery of the macabre. Finally, the lights went out. The show was over. Rest in peace, Elmer. High in the Indian Himalayas, nestled between snow-capped peaks, lies a small frozen lake. For most of the year, it is a beautiful, icy turquoise. But when the summer sun hits the ice, a horror emerges that defies explanation. Hundreds of human skeletons, floating in the water, scattered on the banks, bleached white by the mountain sun. Some still have fragments of skin and hair attached, preserved by the freezing cold for centuries. How did they get here? This is Roopkund Lake, better known as Skeleton Lake. For years, the locals stayed away. They whispered legends of a goddess who became angry and struck down a group of travelers with iron balls from the sky. But for the rest of the world, it was a scientific impossibility. The voice you selected does not support this language. Please click the upper right corner to switch to another voice. A forest ranger stumbled upon the site. He thought he had found a mass grave of enemy soldiers, but he was wrong. When the bones were tested, they weren't from the 1940s, they were hundreds of years old. And they weren't just soldiers. There were women, children, and elderly people. They weren't killed by swords. They weren't killed by bullets. Every single skull had a small, deep, circular crack. Something had hit them from above with terrifying force. Imagine being trapped in a valley with no trees, no caves, no shelter, and suddenly, the sky turns black. The nightmare of Roopkund was about to be uncovered. Scientists were baffled. Who were these people? They weren't a local tribe, and they weren't lost soldiers. DNA tests revealed a shocking truth. These travelers had come from two completely different parts of the world. Some were local, but others had traveled from as far as the Mediterranean. What were they doing at 16,000 feet? Was it a pilgrimage? Or were they searching for something hidden in the clouds? The mystery deepened when researchers looked at the bones again. There were no signs of a struggle. No broken limbs from a fall. No arrowheads. Only those strange, identical cracks on the top of their heads. It was as if an invisible giant had used them for target practice. Then, the researchers looked at the local folklore, an ancient song, sung by the women of the village for generations. The song tells of a king and his queen who traveled to the mountains to celebrate a festival. They brought dancers, servants, and musicians. They were loud, they were disrespectful, and they polluted the sacred land. The goddess of the mountain, Nanda Devi, grew furious. She didn't send a storm. She didn't send an avalanche. She sent death. From the heavens, the sky began to scream, and the travelers realized too late that there was nowhere to hide. The sky didn't turn dark with clouds. It turned dark with ice. Suddenly, out of the blue, giant hailstones began to rain down. But these weren't ordinary hailstones. They were the size of cricket balls. Hard, heavy, and lethal. 500 people were trapped in the open basin. There was no forest, no tents, nothing but the cold, hard rock of the Himalayas. Imagine the sound, the thud of ice hitting bone, the screams of the wounded echoing across the frozen lake. One by one, they fell. The ice balls struck their heads, shattering their skulls instantly. They were being stoned to death by the sky itself. The massacre lasted only minutes, but when it was over, not a single soul was left standing. The wind died down, the sun came back out, and the lake, once clear, was now filled with the bodies of an entire kingdom's elite. The snow began to fall, covering the dead. The water froze over, turning the valley into a giant, natural tomb. For 1,200 years, they waited, frozen in time, preserved in their icy grave. They became a legend, a ghost story told by villagers to keep their children away from the high peaks. But as the world warmed, the ice began to melt, and the skeletons started to float to the surface, as if they had a story they were finally ready to tell. A story of a journey, a curse, and the day the sky fell. Today, Roopkund remains one of the most haunted places on Earth, even with modern science. The lake refuses to give up all its secrets. Why were people from the Mediterranean, thousands of miles away, walking through the Indian Himalayas in the 9th century? Some say they were seeking a hidden entrance to another world. Others believe they were simply lost, led into a trap by the mountain itself. But if you visit the lake today, you'll see things that haunt your dreams. Half-buried rib cages poking through the mud, skulls resting on rocks, their empty sockets staring at the summit of Nanda Devi. The air is thin, cold, and unnervingly quiet. Hikers tell stories of hearing the sound of rhythmic, metallic clinking, as if a ghostly procession is still moving through the pass. Some claim to see shadows walking on the water when the mist rolls in. The local government has tried to protect the site, but the skeletons keep appearing. Every time the ice thaws, a new face emerges from the depths. It is a reminder that the mountains do not belong to us. We're just guests. And if you ever find yourself climbing toward the skeleton lake, and the sky begins to turn gray, and the wind begins to howl, don't look for a path. Don't look for your map. Run, because the goddess is still watching, and she hasn't forgotten the last time someone disturbed her peace. The lake is hungry for more.